Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Kabir Considers. In this video, we're going to react to the 10 best and worst things about being a 90s kid. Now, I'm a 90s kid and maybe it's nostalgia, but it was just such a great time to be a kid. It was just brilliant. You had Pokemon that was just starting to become a thing, you know, Dragon Ball Z, you had the internet that was just coming in. I remember first, any Brits watching this, like the Millennium Dome had just been built like in 99. And, you know, they had the computer section that you could use the internet. It blew my mind. There was just so many things about being a 90s kid. Like, I remember walking with my siblings home from school. You know, I was like 8. My sister Deidre was 6. Kathy was like 4. And I would walk them home, you know, like a mile's walk. Today, you would never see that. You would never see that. It just feels like things were just lighter and just less serious. Just felt, I don't know, like it just felt different. So it's going to be watching this is going to be a blast from the past. I'm sure, you know, kids who grew up in the 70s probably think the 70s was the best or the 80s. But man, the 90s were just, what a time to be alive.
Announcing the latest achievement in home entertainment. The power of sight, video, the power of sound. MTV. Music television.
Yeah.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 best and worst things about growing up in the 90s.
It's a social event.
That was useless! This
was your own that was
useless!
Still haven't seen that.
For this list, we're looking at the pros and cons of growing up in the last decade of the 20th century. What was your favorite thing about growing up in the 1990s? Let us know in the comments.
Boys, right?
Number 10, going to Blockbuster. Best. Sure, today we have practically the entire world of movies at our fingertips with the ever-growing number of streaming services available, but does anything compare to heading to Blockbuster and picking out Friday night's movie?
There's one near you.
There was just a magic to it, you know?
Perusing the aisles always made us feel like the possibilities were endless.
Besides having more movies to rent, they also have more movies to give. Oh, plus they have all kinds of video games for the kids.
There was just something special about the tactile experience of picking up a DVD case, or VHS tape if we're talking early 90s, and reading the back to find out what it was about.
Ordinary video stores don't even come close to Blockbuster Video. We even have a 24-hour quick drop.
Wow.
Admittedly, there was one downside. Someone had already rented the movie you went there specifically to get. You'd go totally postal.
He's from American Pie.
Number 9, someone taping.
Man, I remember like vaguely VHS tapes. You know, when you'd watch it, you'd have to rewind it to watch it again if you wanted to. You know, oh man, yeah. There was just something about going to the Blockbuster and picking it up. Like now, because you just stream it, everything's just so accessible. It just doesn't feel like you cherish it as much as going to the place, hoping that it's there, bringing it home. It's more of an event, like, whereas now, yeah, I get excited to watch movies, but I don't know, it's not like before.
For your VHS. Worst.
Terrific. Watch. Terrific! But suppose it's over 3 hours. Relax. Panasonic VHS tapes up to 4 hours of sports, movie specials on one cassette. Wow.
Kids today just won't understand what it was like to have your favorite movie or TV show episode on a VHS tape that you had made yourself.
Buying a VCR cost $1,300 or 6 weeks' wages. Shoppers had a choice of 2 formats, VHS or Beta.
Before the days where you could buy whole seasons of shows on
Betamax,
DVD,
Betamax.
there was simply no way to watch an episode again once it had already aired.
The basic principles of magnetic recording are really very simple. They were first developed nearly 100 years ago for recording sound.
You made sure that tape was in the VCR at the time your show was playing. It was a lot of effort, so when someone either accidentally or intentionally taped over your VHS, you knew there was going to be hell to pay. Anyone else remember the anger of catching your bratty younger siblings pulling all the tape out and making them unwatchable?
Man.
That was bunk, man.
Yep.
Number 8, the toys.
I remember we had the movie Anastasia. the Disney movie on VHS, and I remember my little brother just pulling it out. Oh, man.
Today, all kids want is their own
Pikachu.
iPad. Sure, that opens up a world of possibilities with endless games, and even access to the entire internet if parental controls are not set up properly. But back in the day, we actually played with physical toys.
Now see, you have to admit they're cute.
We'll never forget collecting Beanie Babies, Pogs, Pokemon cards, Crazy Bones. The list is infinite.
Get your shooters, get your targets, play for fun. Just play those crazy bones on the playground in the streets.
At the top of it all, though, was the Tickle Me Elmo, as well as digital pets like Tamagotchis.
Look, Goldie! I took good care of her, and she changed again.
The hype around Tamagotchis in the UK was massive. Massive, and then it just overnight...
How about changing some water here?
We've got to say, it seems it took a lot more imagination to enjoy the toys of the 90s than it does with the apps kids play on today. Number 7, no GPS. Worst. How did we even get anywhere in the 90s?
Seriously.
You know exactly what's going on?
Yes. Let's just keep going.
How did
Nowadays, we're all equipped with our very own GPS in the little handheld light box we always carry around with us. It's pretty much impossible to get lost no matter where you find yourself in the world. As long as you have an internet connection, of course. Before that, however, we had to print out directions from Google Maps or MapQuest. And before that, we had to literally use fold-out maps.
Oh, no. We must go south through the Straits at Doom and then east into the...
Hey, guys. Huh? Oh, found it.
On top of that, if you wanted to know about traffic jams or road closures, you had to listen to the radio or watch the news and hope they mentioned something. While it sounds like something out of ancient history, the 1990s were only actually a few decades ago.
We're just getting a second opinion, Doc.
We're going the wrong way.
Number 6.
Man, I really have to, credit my dad and my mum. When we were kids, driving, like, my cousin's house, two of them lived like an hour away, and just no sat-nav. We had an A to Z, like an A to Z map. Just, it's not easy, like, having to do that. I remember one time my dad did it, just off the top of his head, having to memorize all of the turns and like for an hour's journey. Like, to me, that's so impressive. It's so impressive.
Bands. Best. If you were a kid in the 90s, you undoubtedly had a favorite boy band. And it said a lot about you. Whether you listened to the Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, 98 Degrees, or O-Town, this decade seemed a simpler time, even with pop music. Lyrics were frothy and uncomplicated, and every track was catchy as hell. Interestingly, boy bands seem to have made something of a resurgence since the 2010s, with the popularity of male K-pop groups and bands like One Direction. First 90s fashion and now 90s music. Can we please bring 90s slang back next? That would be, like, totally bangin', dude.
Mate, I say banging still.
Number 5, scratched.
Yeah, music has definitely gotten a lot more serious and heavy, and, back in the day, I never want to hear you say, I want it that way. Like, just simple, catchy. That was the way back in the day.
CDs. Worst. We already mentioned how easily damaged a VHS tape could get, but CDs may have been even more fragile.
The biggest revolution in the recording industry since the invention of the long-playing gramophone record, but this is no ordinary disc.
Can you imagine having your favorite album become completely unlistenable because it got scratched? Yeah. Nothing's gonna happen to the music you have on your Spotify or Apple Music account. It is safe and sound, and always there for you when you need it.
'Cause baby, now we got bad blood. You know it used to be mad love.
But back then, a hairline graze had the potential to ruin your favorite songs for good. And you'd have no choice but to buy the CD all over again.
Oh, careful. Oh, dude, you gotta pick it up from the side, from the edges.
Scratch!
Why are you holding it like that?
Stars, for the love of Liza. You scratch my CD.
While we miss the experience of cracking open a fresh CD case and perusing the album liner notes, we gotta admit, we prefer the digital age. Number 4.
Yeah, when the iPod came in, it just changed the game. Changed the game. Having I think the first iPod, you could have 1,000 songs on your iPod. That was just
Movies. Best.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
Great movie.
Maybe everyone feels like movies were just better when they were a kid, but come on, it's hard to compete with the 90s. First of all, the animated movies were at the top of their game. So much so that the period between 1989 and 1999 is actually known as the Disney Renaissance because of the quality and popularity of the films released during that time.
It's our problem-free philosophy. Hakuna Matata.
Then, there were the awesome family comedies starring universally beloved actors like Robin Williams and Adam Sandler.
Not that that's a big deal, you know, but
Haven't
just
seen
there
that
were a
one,
lot of little
The Wedding
things
Singer.
like that. I know that sounds stupid.
Not at all.
No matter how much time goes by, we will always revisit these films and enjoy them to the fullest.
My mom always said
Life
was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get.
Number 3.
Why aren't movies... They just don't have the same charm. Why did Disney just switch to digital? Is it easier to make digitally animated movies now rather than the hand-drawn ones? It has to be that. Because those old school hand-drawn Disney movies just had that... They had a charm to them, you know?
Internet. Worst.
On your mark,
Oh
get
my
set.
god, dial-up was
We're riding
shocking.
on the internet.
Shockingly.
Cyberspace, set free. Hello, virtual reality.
Anyone growing up today will not understand the struggle of painfully slow dial-up internet. At one time, most households had a single phone line that handled both the internet and their
you couldn't
actual
be on the
landline
phone.
connection.
Yeah.
This means that you couldn't use the phone if someone was using the internet and vice versa.
Yep.
Then there were the atrocious glacier-level download speeds. We used to have to wait hours to download a single song. And downloading a movie was pretty much unheard of. At least we all learned to exercise a little patience.
What do you think, kid?
Did any of you guys ever use LimeWire or what are the other big sites? Oh god, LimeWire was the one. If you know, you know. BearShare was another one.
Yeah. Surf's up. See you on the net.
Number 2, grunge music.
Nirvana.
Best. This one's for everyone who was a teen in the 90s. While the younger kids were listening to the Spice Girls and the Backstreet Boys, angsty teens and tweens were rocking out to grunge.
It was anti-commercial. It was anti-every institution that supported commercial music as well.
This genre of alternative rock was exactly what we needed to channel all our difficult coming-of-age feelings. No matter what was going on, you knew that performers like Kurt Cobain were feeling some of the same things you were. And that was comforting.
I think a lot of kids is influenced by Kurt Cobain, just from the message in his music.
The grunge aesthetic also extended to our clothing choices. There's a reason why plaid shirts, ratty sweaters, and band tees are back in style again. Talk to the hen, Gen Z. We did it first.
10 years ago, when alienation ruled the airwaves, grunge was a revolution.
There was a real sense in the air that we were going to take over the world.
Before we unveil our top pick.
Yeah, grunge. I think there probably are quite a few grunge bands now. You know, there's one called Violent Soho. They're quite good, but they're Australian based. But yeah, it doesn't feel like it's like grunge is what it used to be at all. Like in terms of the scene. Maybe I'm wrong though.
Here are some honorable mentions. The Scholastic Book Fair. Best. Bookworms could spend a whole year's allowance in one day.
Yeah.
An all-star lineup of books is coming to your school.
I used to get so excited for this.
Read what you want to read. Tell your parents and make plans now to visit the Scholastic Book Fair.
The Snacks. Best. There was nothing better than eating Dunkaroos after school.
So, how do you do your Dunkaroos?
Sneak it up. Oh, man.
Analog film cameras. Worst. Imagine not being able to see your photos right away.
Having to wait for them to develop. Yeah. In that dark
Blowing
room.
into video games. Worst. Did this actually work? We still don't know.
Wow, look at that collection. This collection today is probably worth, like, if they're in mint condition, we're talking, what, thousands. If there's any, yeah, definitely, I'd say.
ABC's TGIF. Best. Staying home on Friday night was actually cool.
It's Friday night, and the mood is right.
We're
gonna have some fun, show you how it's done, TGIF.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1, no social media. Best and worst. Our number 1 pick goes to something that is probably both the best and worst thing about the 90s. There was no social media like we know it today.
On Instagram, people can comment like on your photos, like, oh, you look really pretty and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, these kids love their likes too.
It gives you a good feeling when someone likes the
Man, how old are these kids? Like 11, 12 or something? Like, when I have kids, touch wood, I don't know if I'll let my kids use social media that early. That just seems way too young. But then again, if they've got a smartphone, how can you really stop them? How can you stop them? I just think it's too young.
I like it when people like my pictures, and it makes me feel really good.
Pressure was off to look good at all times because you weren't constantly worrying that someone would snap an unflattering pic of you and upload it to Instagram or Snapchat. What's a social media presence? The 90s have never heard of it. But of course, there were also downsides.
The problem is we're measuring our self-worth by how many people like what we're posting. There was a time where if someone insulted us growing up, it was to our face. Now, those hurtful commentary lives online.
Social media gives us something to do while waiting in line at Starbucks. But more than that, it also allows us to stay connected with people all over the world at any time.
If you're feeling isolated or lonely, or if you feel like there's something you need help with, you can find a community through social media who can share their experiences and help you out. All this communication can lead to a greater understanding of each other and also bring some real change.
Just imagine a global pandemic with no social media. Aw, snap. Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from Watch.
So interesting, man. Like, brought me such nostalgia. You know, nostalgia is such a weird feeling. It doesn't feel good or bad. It's kind of like this in between, you know, like they're happy memories, but they're memories of a time gone by. Yeah, I definitely feel like as a kid, it was a better time to grow up. Definitely. There was just so much. There was so much simplicity and also opportunity as well. Whereas now, don't get me wrong, there's still opportunity, but I just feel like life now for young people is just so much more complicated. Life is so much more expensive. You know, there's just so many more things to contend with, so many things grabbing your attention at all times. You know, there's considerations that kids have to make now that back in the 90s they would never have to make, you know. Like, you've got, like we saw, you know, 11, 12-year-olds talking about likes on their social media profiles. You know, so you have to assume when that kid also gets a negative comment on their social media, that's going to affect their self-esteem. Back in the day, in the 90s, no such thing. So you didn't have to worry about that, you know. What do you guys think? Do you think it was a better time to be a kid in the 90s or today? Let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.